Good afternoon. Call the January 2019 Code Enforcement Board meeting to order. Everyone, please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Sir, could you swear them in?
You raise your right hand, please. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God? Thank you.
Okay. So everybody reviewed the minutes from last month. Are there any revisions or a motion to adopt?
I second it.
No, I was asking for a motion. Sorry.
I motion to adopt the minutes, please.
Seconded.
All in favor? He's ready.
Aye.
Aye. Staff, do we have revisions to this month's agenda?
Under citation appeals, number 1, Jeff and Darlene Willits. The appeal was withdrawn. Under request for board order, item C, Church of God, Prince of Peace is a case of Tom's. He has requested it be withdrawn. Not withdrawn, it's pulled from the agenda, it's been paid. Item D, Dodgertown, complied after notice of hearing. Item H, James Sotomayor, complied after notice of hearing.
Thank you. Anything else?
I didn't have that down, so.
Okay. I'll make a motion, we adopt the agenda as amended.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
I would request that we hear the Wells Fargo case, item E first, since they're the ones that are in attendance today.
Of course. 18-CE-9286, Wells Fargo.
Wells Fargo was cited for the violation of a false alarm. Citation was issued 12/10/2018. Service was by certified return receipt. The civil penalty has not been paid. Asking today for a board order enforcement cost. The manager of the local branch is here today. She's going to provide testimony that a check has been mailed, but we have not received it. Do you have any questions of her?
I'm choking back the obligatory checks in the mail joke, but.
You never heard that, did you? Never.
Yeah, that's ironic.
How much was that check supposed to be for?
The check is for the initial penalty of $50. The check was cut and/or mailed on the 2nd. We've been watching for it daily. So we're just here today to cover the city's interest and ask for the board order for the initial penalty and the enforcement cost.
How much
You
are
need to
these?
state the enforcement cost.
Read my mind. The cost of enforcement is $51.37. Asking for a 20-day compliance because by the time we get the check, then they're going to have to follow it up with the check for the enforcement cost.
So you're
So
saying,
we'll wait 21 days for the 5137 to come in?
Correct.
That's fair. It takes a while for the bank to cut checks. They usually do it once a month. I'd give them 30 days.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Okay,
They're gonna
I
cut
just
the
said
check.
20 because I know 30 is usually for the initial payment, but that's in the mail. So 30 is fine.
Okay.
Okay.
You want to make that a motion? Or should we let you slide on your?
Okay, we need it a little more clear because the motion is to find that there was a violation, that they need to come into compliance within 30 days by paying the initial penalty and the cost of enforcement of $51.37. If they don't come into compliance, there's nothing that we will record the board order. So just
If you would, please. So,
Put that in the form of a motion, sir.
And I would like to put our city attorney's information into a board of a motion.
have to go there because that's the reason.
Seconded.
You followed my outline really well.
Okay, all in favor? Aye. All righty. You shouldn't be a crutch all the time.
Dorado Financial.
God for Karen.
Thanks.
End up costing them a ton of money.
All right, we'll go back to 18-CE-9216,
Correct.
El Dorado Financial.
El Dorado Financial Incorporated, doing business as Omni Financial, was cited for a violation of a false alarm. Citation was issued 11/28/18. Service was by certified mail, asking for the penalty to be paid in the amount of $250 and enforcement cost of $34.48.
Mel, is this a cumulative one where because they haven't paid it that it keeps growing?
This is because this is number 6 or more, and it's at the $250 mark.
How come there are two?
I'm sorry?
Why are there two?
Within the same 30 days.
The next case is the
Within
same.
the same 30 days, right?
there's a total of 4 on the agenda.
Oh, okay.
Because all four were within
Oh, I
the
see.
same 30 days, right?
No, 4 because they had multiple false alarms, but all of them will be at $250 based on the number that they've had for the year.
Okay. So the max is 250.
Correct.
Okay.
All right, we'll make a motion that there was a violation and the board issue an order to pay the $250 civil penalty.
Second.
And the cost of enforcement.
And cost.
And cost of enforcement. How much?
$34.48.
I'll
Oh,
second
you're
that
well
also.
prepared here. And cost of enforcement.
And I second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. 18-CE-9253.
El Dorado Financial Incorporated, doing business as Omni Financial, was cited for the violation of a false alarm. Citation was issued 12/4/2018. Service was provided by certified return receipt, asking for the initial penalty of $250 and $34.48 cost of enforcement.
I put that in the form of a motion.
Do we need the actual costs
She said 34.48.
for this one too?
Yep.
I'm sorry. Okay.
And I will second Mrs. Hillman's motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
18-CE-9288, El Dorado Financial.
El Dorado Financial Incorporated, doing business as Omni Financial, was cited for a violation of a false alarm. Citation was issued 12/10/2018. Service was provided by certified return receipt, asking for the initial civil penalty of $250 and cost of enforcement for $34.48.
Again, I put that in the form of a motion.
I will second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And 18-CE-9289.
El Dorado Financial Incorporated, doing business as Omni Financial, was cited for the violation of a false alarm. Citation was issued 12/10/2018 with receipt, with service provided by certified return receipt, asking for the initial civil penalty of $250 and the enforcement cost of $34.48.
I have just one question, Melody. After these 4 have come in, what is the penalty if El Dorado again goes into false alarm and refuses? What will the penalty then be?
If you have more than 6 false alarms in the year,
Correct.
backwards from the time that you got the first
one.
This one, go back 12 months, it will remain at $250.
And after that?
That is the highest penalty.
So after, let's say they go 12 months without an alarm and they get an alarm, it'd be $50?
Yeah.
Seeing that there was a violation, I would make the motion that they pay the $250 plus $34.48 in costs.
Seconded.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Alarms go on a 12-month, and regular code violations are 5 years. They can be cited as a repeat within that 5-year time frame.
So then it'd be 100 instead of 50. Sherry, I read your report. Very nice, thank you.
Thank you.
Do I need to actually sign anything, or?
The board just needs to let me know if they approve it for its submittal.
I can't hear you.
I just need to know on the annual report if you approve it.
I think it was an excellent report, and I congratulate you on the hard work that I could see many hours put into this, and thank you so much for the information.
She's a very hard worker.
Yes.
Thank you.
I approve the report.
I approve also.
Do you need that in the form of a motion to approve it?
I contributed to the report.
I don't need it.
Well, thank you for your diligent
Wells
contribution.
Fargo's checks in the mail, too.
Couldn't she just have brought it with her?
For each payment.
Good one. Checks in the mail.
Did you ever say that to anyone before?
Yeah.
Never
But it
told
really
me.
was, it was.
Right.
What are we supposed to do with this?
That would be under members' matters.
I'll speak on this. We requested at the last meeting to get a tally of all the fines that were within a 3-year period. So I went back and asked Sherry to print out everything. So we don't know, without showing the printout of the minutes, how much in fact we have reduced fines, which is one of my hate factors of this commission, is that we're just reducing fines constantly and saying that we're not in the business of fining people, yet for years on end, and these reports will show you that 3 in particular was out there since 2015, and we reduced the fine to no fine at all. And I think that doing this and constantly having our code enforcement go out there and repeatedly fining people and coming here, and then we either reduce or say we're not going to fine the people. So this is just a tally to show everyone that, in fact, we have the first one, which was in January, which actually in January was our longest meeting of the year, and we ended up not fining these people, just throwing it out. It started in March of 2017, and in November of 2017 was when he finally obtained a warehouse, and we just said that we find that there was no penalty whatsoever. So all this was pictures taken by our code enforcement, constantly going out there.
And is this the one where the guy was supposed to be, or was assumed to be running a business out of his garage?
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. And in that case alone, I understand the commission and where they felt that because the owner herself was not present and wasn't aware of what was going on. However, our code enforcement had started in March and continually cited them, and yet he did not obtain a warehouse until November. and then again was cited in December for the same thing, and we let it go.
As I remember, the issues of whether he had a warehouse or not didn't come up at that time.
Nope, that
No.
wasn't the point at all.
That wasn't the point. The point was, the question that was raised was, does this guy working on one project in his driveway constitute running a business? I think that's what we came down to.
And I believe it was a split decision.
It was a split, yeah,
Yes.
by one.
Okay.
Yeah.
The next one right after that, is also in January, was the gentleman with the unsheltered storage trailer, where there was $51,000 in fines, and we reduced it just to the $84.65. And that one also started in August of 2014. However, our code enforcement officer said he never went back out after
Right.
2017.
Oh, that one.
I
But
don't remember the
for-
particulars on that one.
For 3 years, code enforcement was going out there and citing them. And the owner claimed that he only received one citation, and that's
I
why
think
it
one of the
was
issues
reduced.
that I have, which is why I think in most cases we either reduced or eliminated fines, and the woman that was here the last time we spoke about this said, if a police officer stopped you, would you have a recourse? And I was thinking about it afterwards, and I thought, well, in the state of Florida and the City of Vero Beach requires that people take a test to demonstrate minimum competency with these rules and regulations, which they don't, obviously. Then I think their feet can be held to the fire in every case. But to the best of my knowledge, when we reduce something here or we eliminate something, it's usually because the guy or the woman made a good case for it. Said, hey, I never got this, I didn't understand, and I don't think we've been too lenient, to be honest with you.
Okay.
No, these are not things that the average person really understands. And
Correct.
it isn't as if the city or any municipality goes to any effort to educate them on it. And so you kind of learn by making the mistake. And I don't think we've ever had a repeat offender come back. If somebody came back and they did it twice, I think we should probably get the rope out and hang him.
Yeah.
Right, I'm always surprised when you get a citation from the Vero Beach, if it starts with a warning or a courtesy letter, I'm asking you to dialogue with me, and when you don't, and it goes to a citation, I always think someone's going to call me, they just got a citation and a penalty, and
Right.
sometimes they don't, they just
Yeah,
avoid it.
and that's a good point. And I think perhaps something that will help us, I know it would help me, is if you and Tom could say, okay, they've received a letter, a warning, a citation, and detail it for us. Because very often with these things, the way it appears to me is they received a notice, they're here arguing the case.
Okay, because from our standpoint, we bring it to you as a last resort, that I've tried every measure I have to get you to dialogue with me, work with
That's
me,
what we
comply
need
with
to
me.
hear in your presentation, is I have contacted them.
Trust me, I don't want to bring them to you.
Oh, I'm sure. We don't want them either.
Well, when I read these cases, and you see that the penalties commenced on a certain date, and then they put down there, like for 127 days,
Right.
they did not pay the penalty. Yet, this one that I'm talking about was 127 days. The fine was $63.50, and we just dropped it down to the civil penalty of $200. So, in fact, we're being told how many days that these people have ignored the citations and warnings and fines, and yet we're still reducing it. So, is that not considered a repeat if they ignore this for that amount of time?
I don't know which one you're describing.
I wouldn't mention the name at this point.
Yeah,
It's only a repeat if they've been found guilty of the violation or paid the fine.
right. But then, there is a case where there's a particular lot nearby here, where the two gentlemen are here, it seems like every other meeting with violations.
We've been good lately.
Yes, I know that. I've kind of wondered myself with that particular
The two
group.
gentlemen have parted ways, and I've heard several times that there's an offer on the table for the property, so
Oh, okay.
I'm hopeful.
Yeah.
Oh, thank God.
Is your argument that we
Not
should
to think
never
of.
reduce? Or
No, no.
we shouldn't reduce as much?
The argument is not that we should never reduce. The case of the LLC where that fine came in at $89,000 and we fined them $20,000, I thought was legitimate.
Yes,
That
I agree.
was,
In fact, I've thought about that case since.
Right.
I think we should have nailed him for the whole amount, to be perfectly honest.
originally I suggested $40,000 and we all talked about it and it was reduced to $20,000, which was fine. But still, there's a case where it is an LLC who has repeated offenses such as this, and they have the obligation to do a title search. Why do we have the obligation to reduce their fine if they refuse to do a title search and do their due diligence? Why should we, after code enforcement has gone out for 2 years and fined them on all different things, and it's come up in front of this board? I understand that people feel that the city is not in the business of making money, yet we are incorporated. We are a business.
Is this the property that got bought and then refurbished?
Yeah, it was,
They
Well, the
marked
problem
the
is
actual
they wouldn't be able
violation.
to sell the property if they had to include that in the cost. We want the house, as a city, we want the house occupied and taken care of, right? Isn't that the real goal? Not just to fine
That-
everybody as much as we can?
That is our real goal.
On that case, the Realtor said they bought the house to hold it as a rental until the corridor of 60 in that section was made into commercial.
Once again, am I correct, it was a split decision of some degree? Okay.
No, I think that one was when we reduced it.
And that house has since changed
Yeah,
hands again.
I think there was a compromise along the
Is
line.
anyone living in it?
I don't know, it's changed hands again.
Is it still in compliance as far as code and stuff? Okay.
I think it's empty still.
I think the consideration in that one was a little bit of what Eric described, and the fact that these people had, our best guesstimate, invested $50,000, and they had a contract, I believe, for 120, was it?
Yes,
Something like that.
So we said, we'll split the difference with you.
right.
$20,000, I don't consider a minor fine.
I don't consider it a minor fine either, and that's why I'm saying, Eric, I don't feel that, that we're reducing all of the fines to the point where, my contention is that I feel that we are slapping our code enforcement board, our officers on the hand, because they're the ones that go out there doing the work for 2 and 3 years, and then they come back to us. Their very last resort is us, and after 2 or 3 years, you would think, well, okay, they've done this enough. And then we come here and we give no penalties, no fines, reductions.
But their job is also to get compliance, which in all of these cases, they've gotten compliance.
Look how long it's taken them to get compliance.
We
They're all-
have
they're all-
we have 7 members here, or
Correct.
8, whatever we have. And it's on a case-by-case basis too. And you figure in the hardships, and maybe the person was clueless, maybe they had a disability, maybe they're out of town and never got the mail and it was forwarded to the wrong address, and there's many different things that come into all of us collectively agreeing upon a fine. Yes, everybody should be accountable. Sometimes, hey, they don't have the 60 grand to pay, or they don't have the 20 grand to pay. We can't get blood out of a rock. Okay,
Agreed.
they can't go to the bank and say, hey, you know what? I need a loan for 50 grand to pay off the city because I got a fine. They don't have such a thing for that. So we try to be fair and look at the person's financial status, and, you know, if he broke the law and thinks he lives above the law and he's got the money, he's gonna pay. The boat dock guy, he paid. Okay? He knew the rules. He tried to break them. Okay? Now, I know we can get money from him if we have to, but some of the other people, you know, I think you guys might agree.
Yeah.
What I'm saying is, it's not going to happen. And to get those people here is an act of Congress. Okay?
Melody, why would it take so long for the case to come to us? Is it because we're waiting until it's in compliance? Or,
Which one are we talking about? Are we talking
well,
about?
any of the cases that are like, the example was 127 days or whatever.
Well, there's two times that the case comes before the board. There's the initial finding a violation and ordering correction. You give them a deadline. Then after that deadline, if they don't come into compliance, then the $50 begins to accrue.
Oh, that's right.
Then we bring you, then once it comes into compliance, you have to have a finding that it has come into compliance, and it's at that point that we set the final dollar amount that is owed for the lien. And it is only during that brief window that this board has the opportunity to do a reduction in the total cost owed. If that order was recorded, then it would go to the city council for that reduction.
All right, so we already did an order that said, okay, it's out of compliance, and then they waited so many days after that till they actually were in compliance, then they came back to us for an appeal.
Correct. And the delay can be multiple things. If it's something that's relatively simple to fix, but they never contact the code enforcement officer, if it falls off the code enforcement officer's radar because of the volume of cases that they have, until, you know, they decide to sell the property and there's this lien out there, and then they go, oh, I've corrected this. That's, you know, one of the reasons for delay. Another delay is that they just don't come into compliance. There's oftentimes the property owner is an absentee property owner or even a deceased property owner, and nobody is coming in to lay claim to that property, and so the fine, you know, accumulates. So those are usually the times when it's a very long period of time that it goes by.
Like we just heard that one, I believe was in McCanch Park, the bank owned it and didn't care about it.
I'm glad you brought up the banks, because it seems like when a bank has one, or the real estate investors are involved, and they come in, and it's always a person who was not involved in the deal, doesn't know anything about it, their boss is out of town, and they were just asked to address. I mean, those are the sort of things I think we really should start coming down on. That's unacceptable.
Yes.
Right, because like the house that we're talking about, many local people came and said, what's the story on the house? Okay, there's ongoing penalties on it. They opted not to. So my fault with this company is you didn't do your due diligence. You came in from out of town. Now you want to flip it.
Right.
So,
Right.
yeah.
I want to give you my personal perspective on things. When I see somebody out here, I take, and I believe we all do, the credibility of the person.
Yes.
Their workability with our code enforcement officers, those that are working with us, you gotta treat them the way they should be treated. And also the circumstance, as Mr. Bryant said, you can't take blood from a stone. It's as simple as that. But we do our job. But those are some of my criteria. Do they work with our people, our officers? Are they credible? They're sometimes how I vote, because I don't particularly believe in the full credibility of that person. And sometimes I'm the other way, because I do believe that they are credible. And I think we're all like that in our own way of thinking. And that's the way I approach things, and I think that's the way we all approach things and come up with our own conclusions.
I mean, 73% have had their feet held to the fire. The cases in 2018, and it's similar percentage going back the last 2 years. It's a pretty good percentage. I mean, when you consider how the average person just doesn't know about these things.
Yeah.
And also, let's just say Melody's written 22 $50 fines, and those people came here and paid them. Let's see, 22, let's say 18 of them mailed in their check for $50. But the other 5, or 4, hey, I don't know what this is, I don't know what this means,
Right.
And then if they don't do anything or ask for a to come here, then they're automatically found guilty. Correct?
Right.
Yep.
So then that's why they're on this little request for board order, not a citation appeal. They don't understand all that stuff. And that's why all of us go on a case-by-case basis, I think.
Like
But
the
I think
tree
a lot of
permit
people
last
just
month.
pay.
Right, but
A
like
lot of
the-
people just write that check and say,
And we like those people. Like the tree permit last month, he hired counsel to represent him regarding the mitigation. I would have been a lot cheaper if he had just called me,
yeah.
but people have a reaction that,
I need an attorney.
I think from this discussion, I'm going to think more about reducing fines, before I do it, but.
I just feel that Tom and Melody work really, really hard, and their continual effort to keep everybody in compliance and keep the city looking well. I worry about, we have continual issues with a particular trailer park. So do we continually say, because of the tenant, that we're going to let it go? We have to hold the landowner's feet to the fire. He has to be responsible for who he puts in there. Believe me, I've owned a lot of property, and I vetted every single person that went into my duplexes for more reasons than one. You have to have like minds to live in a common wall, and I sure didn't like getting a phone call at 3 o'clock in the morning when I had one particular tenant that didn't care about the neighbors. So things like that you have to be aware of, and we have to understand that the property owner is responsible also. It's not just the tenant. So I just wanted to bring this to everyone's attention, because we are starting a new year, and I really want to back up our code enforcement officers and to back up what everyone in this city is trying to do, and that is to clean it up, to keep it beautiful for the people who are coming here to enjoy our city. And I've gotten many comments about certain areas of Vero Beach that are declining, and I know our code enforcement officers have been working hard, yet it's a civil penalty of $50, and then they come back again. And this is, I just wanted to bring this to light so that we can discuss this and that we are more aware of the reductions that we are doing. And I understand, Mr. Bryant, yes, we need to bring into the picture each case individually and the situation of the person. But I also don't feel that we should cut $60,000 off of a
Right,
business.
but I don't think
you
we're
know.
all, I don't think any of us would say that we're reducing the fine
Purposely.
or to disrespect Melody or their job.
No,
you know.
there's, we're
That's not
number one
my
fan.
consideration. That I'm gonna,
Right.
I'm not worried about that. I don't think.
Well, I'm not either. I'm just concerned about the fact that I feel we've let fines go and that we reduced them. So
I think every one of these cases, I haven't read them all, I have to admit, but there was some sort of the ordinary circumstances.
circumstance.
And I doubt you'll find any repeat
Or not
violators.
enough proof, or not enough proof, because we're judge, jury, and executioner right here. We have all the power we want right here.
I have
We
to
all
say,
have to decide, and we all vote.
Right.
I think this is a great introspection, this conversation. I really think it's a big plus for us to think about this once a year, what we've done to wrap it up and talk about internals and how things work. And I want to commend Mrs. Hillman for bringing it up.
Thank you. I am in no way trying to point fingers at anybody at all. I just feel that this was a discussion that we really needed to bring up at the beginning of the year, and it will make every one of us, including myself, think about the violation and the fine in the particular case in front of us.
And then we also appreciate all the hard work that
I
they do. And you do.
I have always appreciated what Melody
But
and
also,
Tom
like
has done.
Mr. McDonald said, if you want, we can bring more information to you on how the case developed, our efforts, and what we have.
I think
Yeah, I think
that's
maybe the
very
standard
important.
question going forward is, hey, Melody, can you give us a little history on this? What kind of interaction have you had with this person?
My thinking is...
That would be a big help.
I think that's pretty typical though, too, especially in these convoluted cases that we do get pretty much the detailed description.
We're getting more detailed already.
I'm under the assumption that that has already taken place with our officer and the client. I just believe that's built into her system and Tom's system, that they are working all through that before it comes to us.
Let me
That's
ask
my
the board
belief.
something. Eric and I discussed this, I think it came up at one of the meetings. In the case where a developer comes in, he takes over a property, he's invested $50,000, $70,000. I mean, how amenable is this board to saying, okay, there's $100,000 in fines, obviously, we can't let you off scot-free. We have to cover our costs. There's been a great deal of effort put into this. How amenable are we to saying to a developer who would take an abandoned property, turn it into a residence and generating taxes, how amenable are we to say, we'll give you a break on this?
I don't know if we can judge anything.
To get those kind of properties cleaned up and
We want them in
occupied and-
compliance
Yeah.
and for now and in the future.
I don't think we should comment on anything in the abstract because it may come back to burn us.
Okay. Just a thought.
Well, I thank everyone really for listening to me, and I'm sure in your minds you were maybe going,
Burned into our minds.
shut up, please, let's just get on with this. So I thank you, really, I do, and I appreciate everyone that I am working with on this commission, this board. I think you are all commendable, and I appreciate it.
And it was a great year-end cap.
Yes, it was.
Discussion.
Yes, it was.
I
Even though
believe
we're
so.
in the new year now.
Well, we're not that far into the new year. It's going to be a brighter new year.
Hopefully.
So, thank you, everyone. I really appreciate you all.
Thank you.
Happy New Year.
We all done? Okay, we'll adjourn.
I want my clock back.
Yeah.